Let's, hello you absolute lovelies. Let's talk all about Daredevil Born Again, Season 2, Episode 3. We got 2 episodes of Daredevil released at once this week, and I think it's because the end of this episode, the crescendo, the pacing, and where I think the rest of the season is going to go. Going to talk all about that, going to talk about the action, going to talk about a lot of the interesting dialogue between 2 sets of characters, going to talk about the escalation and how much we care about these supporting characters, but before we get into any of that, I want to talk about something personal for me that I didn't even realize I was missing. There is a feeling I have towards Daredevil that I got in the Netflix series. I didn't feel it in Born Again, didn't even notice I didn't feel it until this episode, and it's something that is so much of what I love about the character of Daredevil and what Charlie Cox brings to him. Now, in the years since the Netflix show, we got a little Spider-Man cameo from Charlie Cox that was delightful. We got a great appearance in She-Hulk that is a very different tone altogether. And then with Born Again, we got kind of a medley of the Disney evolving Daredevil flavor with the old Netflix show, and that was because it was an amalgamation of shows that now with Season 2 gets to really refine itself. But there's a moment in this episode, there is a feeling in this that reminds me not just of the best of Netflix, but also the best of the comic books, and that is a maddening frustration with Matt Murdock, because I know I'm going to end up agreeing with Matt. I know that Matt Murdock is better than me. One of the things I love about really well-written characters, when someone knows how to write them, you get to be frustrated at them, and then you get to go on a journey with them where you know they're right, and you get to have a lesson. You get to grow from it. I know that's where we are with this season, because this episode, I was so angry at Matt Murdock for his faith in the system. I'm so frustrated with him. These first 3 episodes, it's been a little bit, but this episode in particular, there is this maddening sense of belief and faith and hope, and I'm an optimistic person. So in my reality, in 2026, in the world I actually live in, I have very little faith in systems, or I'm pretty anti-establishment. I don't believe that anyone in power has my interest or the people's interest at heart. I don't believe in government or really the judicial system in the way that Matt Murdock does. I love that this whole episode was Kingpin being 2 steps ahead, as he always is. I love that it's Matt going, we can't become the Punisher, even as Karen drifts that way. I love that Matt is getting more brutal at the same time, which we'll talk about here in a second. But there is this belief, even when he's absolutely broken, that always comes back in Matt Murdock. And often in the comic books, he'll have this hope for the judicial system or for people or for his kitchen, like this hope that perseveres against all else. And that is always beautiful, because there's always this redemption. There's always this validation that Matt Murdock was right to believe, right to have faith, right to hope. And I look forward to feeling that, because I think I need it now more than I did during the airing of the Netflix show. I think I need it now more than certain runs of the comics. I think now, in my reality, I have the least amount of belief, so I need Matt Murdock too. And I felt that this episode, which I loved. So this was a feeling I forgot. This was a feeling I definitely felt during Netflix era. I felt it here. I love that. Let's talk about the brutality. Let's talk about the action. Then let's talk about some of the pairings and dialogues in the scene and the courtroom stuff. The action in this episode is top-notch. Philip Silvera, who is the stunt coordinator and the action choreographer, absolutely nailed everything we love about the hallway and gave us a hallway in that like ICE detention center setting that we set up in Season 1. I love that setting where Punisher escaped is set up to be this perfect setting of feeling the horrors and atrocity of that reality, our reality, the connection to it, and then using that rage and brutality to allow an untethered Daredevil to really brawl. I was thinking, I reacted this over at Real Rejects. Please do check out those reactions. It's really like fun to do it in real time. But in that scene, I said, like, this is the most Daredevil's felt like Batman. Also in the episode, he does like a drop an octave voice where he's obviously hiding his voice like Bale does. But, and necessarily, he knows Francine. But I really appreciated that this episode, there was a kind of acknowledging Frank as being a little more right. That not to the level Karen is, but there is a total, these people aren't worth killing, but they're definitely not worth saving. And I think seeing the way he fights, the physical size of Charlie Cox has changed. The brutality has changed. His ruthlessness has changed because he's backed into a corner. He's a cornered animal. And I really loved seeing the fight style in this. I loved the dynamic with him and Swordsman. I like this Swordsman dynamic way more than anything in Hawkeye. I didn't really connect to the character in Hawkeye. I actually found that a bit of a letdown of a character. I didn't really love the Hawkeye show. I'm sorry to everyone that did. But there were a lot of dynamics I didn't dig. So when he was announced to be in the show, I was worried, but it's actually elevated my opinion of Swordsman. Tony Dalton killed it in this episode. And that fight dynamic was so interesting because the team work was beautiful, but they both played to their strengths. The intercutting was incredible. The rage you felt was validated, and then just the Matt wanting to save these people. He couldn't leave these people, and we connect so much because of White Tiger, another character. I'm really impressed with what they're doing. The first season, I thought they did a great job with White Tiger, who's canonically the first White Tiger in the comic books. He was much like Black Panther. White Tiger is a very important character to Latin culture. He's the first of something, and he's an established icon to an entire community. His legacy is his niece takes on that mantle, and a lot of people know White Tiger as his niece. So I was like, how are they going to manage this with the kid? I love how good of an actress that girl is, but also how in this season she has like a superhero entrance in this episode, but she also does things that are like canonically logical. She's scavenging and getting radio and weapons and doing things to help the knife, her uncles. She's doing superheroic things, but she's not like fighting adults. I think they're doing a really good job making White Tiger work, Swordsman work. All of those action set pieces were great. I felt like such a rush with those agents and the way they swarmed, and the moment that giant, bulletproof SUV thing comes in and they rescue everyone, the association we have with her aunt, all of those things, her mom, all of those things really, really worked for me. The courtroom scene I thought was really strong because you could tell immediately those judges were paid off. You could tell the corruption from the opening. You could tell that was already a lost case. And then the dialogue Swordsman has and the moments of just total frustration with a broken system, but you want her to keep trying and you want to believe. And the way they painted with sound and the way you could tell that the case was lost just from how the judges acted in the beginning, I really, really appreciate all of that. Plus the escalation of Kingpin, just that dark laugh and him just getting more and more power, him strong-arming the governor, him killing all those people at the very end of the episode, and Matt just being totally lost, broken, one step forward, two steps back is the name of the game. He's always getting taken out. But then also the dialogue in this episode was exceptional. This felt a lot more like the Netflix dialogue. The scenes with Francine and the Heather dynamic of friendship turned betrayal, Heather working for Kingpin, Heather having that mental fissure in the opening scene, the cracking of her sanity with Muse, and all these things of Heather actually betraying people and causing them to be sent to their deaths. All of that is just really good, nuanced morals and dynamics, and the dialogue is strong enough between these pairs of characters I didn't care about last season. Really do have an investment in Heather and Francine. Really do have an investment in Daniel and Buck Cashman's character. The scene with Gandolfini and the other heavy within Kingpin's ranks, and them both strong-arming each other and leveraging and saying what they know about the other, but also like making sure the other isn't in a position of power. Like the charm of Gandolfini and that other guy, very impressive. Putting them together is a strong choice. Really interesting to see all that. And then pairing Buck Cashman with Heather and seeing that court and the king and queen dynamic and all of those things, and Kingpin having a different kind of power. All of it's working for me. All this mayor stuff is really strong. Really excited to see if, all this ties into Spider-Man because we see him going to a prison. Really curious if this ties into Wonder Man because the prison at the end of that. All this vigilante stuff I feel like is leading to X-Men in its own world that hates and fears us way. All this street level stuff. Are we going to get a Mayor Luke Cage at some point? A lot of really cool stuff with Jessica Jones still to come, with a lot of season left. This is kind of the end of the first act. It's an 8-episode season, I believe, and this is episode 3, so kind of gives us that first act structure. We found out this week that we are also getting May 12th, the Punisher special, which is kind of like a finale to all of this. It's the next week, so we get on the 5th, the final episode of Born Again Season 2, and then the next week is Punisher One Last Kill. So I'm really curious with the setting in this episode, how that ties in. But yeah, we're at the end of the first act. Things have apparently started to be like just pedal to the metal from this point. All the social reactions I've heard from episode 3 on, it's insane. I've liked these first 3 a lot, so that gives me a lot of hope that if this is the bar and it's only going up, I'm very excited about it. So would love to know your thoughts. This is, I think, my favorite Daredevil suit. Maybe this one and the Ninja one tied for first, but suit looked amazing this episode. Charlie looks incredible. Vincent feels like Kingpin again. The show feels like the stakes are insane. The caliber of writing is incredible, and the structure of the show. I really like the cliffhanger, wait a week. I really like the actual retreading of moments, like seeing her walk through blindfolded, knowing Matt Murdock's going to walk through there later, but then not having her describe it, but visually seeing him play in that arena feels like a good episode of well-written TV. Lots of stuff using the medium well of television versus necessarily movies. Doesn't feel like a movie just chopped into parts. Really dug this episode. Would love to know what you thought in the comments below. Would love to know if you're excited for episode 4 and beyond. What do you think is going to happen? Are you digging White Tiger? Are you digging this dynamic? Are you excited for Bullseye to come back? Are you excited to see Jessica Jones? Would love to know your thoughts. What did you think of that fight? What did you think of that courtroom scene? What did you think of that Daredevil? I appreciate you. Let me know in the comments. Like, subscribe, press the YouTube buttons. I'll see you next week for more Daredevil. I'll see you even sooner for more comic and movie stuff. Appreciate you. Bye.